I would like you to consider just for a moment how many web applications are out there right now on the internet in the wild. And the answer that you may come up with is there's millions of applications that are currently running that are out there. There's also, for the more popular applications, there's dozens of tools that can be used to analyze and attack those popular web applications. In this lecture, I would like to focus on WordPress. And although there is many tools that can be used to compromise WordPress, including Metasploit and the models within Metasploit, there is another tool called WP-Scan that comes as part of the Kali Linux distribution that we can also use. And that's what we're going to demonstrate in this lecture. In this lecture, we are going to do three basic things. We're going to make sure we have a virtual machine that's running WordPress, because we do not want to do this type of an attack against a real WordPress server on the internet, because that would be unethical or even worse, illegal. Secondly, we're going to do some enumeration using some attack tools on the WordPress server. Again, in our lab environment to discover the users and what plugins are present with the implementation of WordPress. And then third, we'll go ahead and we can do an attack to discover passwords. So here in Chrome, let's go ahead and do a search on the internet for WordPress VM appliance. And one of the results is this Turnkey Linux org WordPress link, which we are going to go ahead and click right here. So here it has some builds that we can download, including one for VMware. And as you see, if we scroll down, there are additional information, as you can see here, for this VM, including, for example, information about passwords, usernames that they can use, and some other configuration parameters like where to browse and etc., the IP addresses and etc. So what I did is really click on this here. So it asks for an email you don't need. I just click skip that, no thanks, no subscription. And then it starts to download the file. And after I got the file downloaded and finished the download, I just double click it, and then it was this OVA was already started to be imported into my VMware workstation. And here in VMware workstation, here's the installed virtual machine, and I did make one change to this virtual machine, as you can see here. If you go to settings here, I did change it to bridge, as you see. Originally it was actually set to net, but I changed it to bridge, and the rest was the default. When I powered it on, it asked me a few questions, including setting some passwords, which I did, and the passwords I set it before. So its address ended up being .13, so 192.168.0.13. So there's our WordPress virtual machine with a whole boatload of plugins ready to go. Next, to launch our discovery and attack tools against this WordPress device, we have let's go to over our Kali Linux box that is at 12. So here on Kali Linux box, I will go ahead and make that full screen for you and open a terminal, a command shell, and let's maximize it. Okay, yep. Oh, I forgot one thing. Before you go there, let me go to open the browser. We need to make sure our application WordPress is working okay. So let's go to that IP address. All right, sounds good. Seems that it's opening very well. Let's try to log in using the username and password that I had set up before. Okay. All right, seems good, looks great. So let's go ahead here and create a username. So I'll put a username Bob. I'll put an email, bob@lufsec.com. I don't need to put this information. So let me set a password, and I'll put a password. So let's type this password 123. It's gonna be saying that it's a weak password, so I have to confirm the use of a weak password and add user. Okay, good. So now, as you see here, we have admin and Bob. We also can go to plugins and see what else we have here. What are the plugins that are installed? And that's it. So we're good here. We can close this screen. So we are closing here in the corner so that we can get back to our terminal. So we're going to use this tool called WP Scan, short for WordPress Scan. If you just hit enter, you see the different options that you have. You need to use --URL in the URL name, but also we have multiple options. You don't have to memorize, you just hit that and you can see the different options. Enumerate, P for plugins, U for users. So as you see, there are multiple different options that you can get access just hitting enter. So let's do one task here. Let's do a WP scan --URL http the IP address of my WordPress, which is 198.168.0.13, enumerate U for user. And let's see what we have. Let's see what it can find out for me. So as you see, it was able to find 2 users, admin and Bob. So this is good. Let's try now with the P for plugins and see what it can get. If you go over the top, you'll be able to start seeing a bunch of different things. For example, you see that is a server Apache, that the IP addresses, the WordPress version, and that there is 7 vulnerabilities identified, and it lists all of the vulnerabilities here. From an attacker's perspective, it's like Christmas. We're being delivered a list of the vulnerabilities and then more information about those and how those vulnerabilities could potentially be exploited. It also identifies right here that, for example, it was fixed in a subsequent version, in this case 4.7.5, and you have that for all the vulnerabilities listed here, all information that you need. If you go to the bottom, if you scroll down, you also see that there is a style URL. Now when it says .css, as you see here, right, it's not cross-site scripting, right? Cross-site scripting is XSS, and CSS is an acronym for cascading style sheets. It is also giving us information about the other plugins. So if there is some new vulnerabilities or some new weaknesses in some plugin we are using, that could also be an attack vector that could be leveraged by the attacker. So what do we do now about this WordPress system? Well, we know there are users involved, 2 of them, admin and Bob. We also know that they've got 3 out of the many plugins that are currently present that have some vulnerabilities. Now, as part as WP scan, we can go ahead and we can do some attack to try to discover the password. And I'm already starting here. We're going to use a password file, and that's what I'm opening here right now for you. So I'm opening a password file that I have here, password.txt, that already has some passwords on it. It's what we call word list. And I just have to make sure that the password that I created for Bob or for the admin are here listed. Yes, they are. So we can just go there and close there and save that. So instead of manufacturing our own passwords list, there are thousands of huge passwords lists with millions of passwords that we could use as a password list as part of a dictionary attack in attempting to discover the password being used by an user. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's use this just to verify. Okay, yeah, we're good. Okay, so that just have to remember where you save that password list. And you're gonna have to use that. So the command you have to type in is really that wp scan --url http ://192.168.0.13. that is the URL of my WordPress website. And then I have to type in --word list and provide the path of my word list. Okay. So now what's going to do is take every user that it sees as part of the WordPress, and it's going to try to use those passwords in the passwords.txt file to discover if any of the passwords match any of the users. And as you see, it was successful on finding the passwords for both users, and it did, as you see in the bottom here, in just 7 seconds. But that was just an example. In the real case, it's normally taking much longer because you have a much bigger file to take care. But that's it for this session, for this lecture.